Here we go.
Voices.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I'd like an approval of the minutes from September 17th, please.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion to, or I'd like to review the treasurer's report. And when, is there anything we need to be aware of there?
Let me get to the treasurer's report. On the IDA side, no, there's nothing that I would specifically bring up. Just a reminder, because it's coming up later. Bank of Cooperstown savings account, there's 220 in it, but we're saying that there's only 20 available. That's because we previously pledged 200 from that account to start a new IRP program, which Evan will be talking about under the LDC. That's our match for that program. And then under the LDC, no, nothing to add.
Then anything you want to talk about in the loan report?
Let's see, starting with the IDA, going down the list, the first one, they're due this month, not a big deal. CRH, we're working with them, and I know Scott had a meeting with the owner of that, and we're going to continue to work with them.
That's gonna struggle for a while.
Yeah.
For a while, meaning what?
Mhm.
For a while, meaning.
May or June of 22.
Yeah, their numbers, goals are not being realized, and some issues just regarding expenses and stuff. It's just the profit margin's not there as it was presented to be this spring, but
Vastly different.
Yeah.
As we had suspected. We looked at those numbers and we went, whoa, what a turnaround. Well, it wasn't right.
That's too bad.
It is.
the Franklin business,
They actually sent a check since our last meeting, but they're just 2 months behind from the summer. So I'll work with them catching up, but they are back on track-ish.
okay, then
Ish.
and then deposit, because you
Yeah,
had that conversation.
yeah. He is going to make a payment November 1st. It might not be the full payment, but he appreciates all of our patience and wants to show that.
Mhm.
Still really no update. Actually, there is a small update, which I'll keep,
You can say it just generally.
they are going to court. And so they haven't gotten a court date yet, but he thinks that's a good moving forward because he believes once he's in front of a judge, then he'll get a ruling in his favor, basically.
Right, and that's regards
That
to a
has-
potential buyout of the business.
But it's all
Right.
tied up because of
So the buyer is still in the game.
Because
Yes.
because of the state.
the estate. is
But I
all tied up.
thought that I thought they were expecting a decision. within
They
the
submitted
last month or so.
some, I forget the exact legal term. They submitted documents to the court. They were hoping for a decision, but they didn't get a decision, but they got a court date where they'll be in front of a judge to discuss it.
And the judge's retirement.
I didn't hear
It
that.
Might be a different judge. What level is it going? What judge is?
I think
going
it's
to-
county Supreme Court,
In
Right.
which county?
Delaware County.
One judge is retiring.
I could say the name of
The
judge.
county and
The
Supreme
judge-
Court judge is
Northridge is
retiring.
retired.
North
Right.
announced
That's what
that
he's saying
the
is-
22nd is his last day
Yeah.
of this month.
Today.
So
That'd be-
somebody else is
Oh,
moving
that's
on,
today.
sitting on the case.
Right. Well, then that would fall to Brian
Interchangeable.
Burns then, right? Because he's the
It-
other one.
It might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so the prospect is still interested. He's working with ESD on incentives
Hate
to
to lose
buy
that
out
guy.
and everything like that.
Okay.
So it's still hopefully, moving in a positive direction.
Right, that's as important or more to me than what we're showing on this
Right.
paper.
Yeah, but we've asked for a good faith show. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good.
Then you want to do the last one, Evan?
Last one, right below it, they're just kind of always.
Oh, yeah, Jethro's. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're one, it's just a little bit late. We're not concerned about them.
The next one, last meeting, I said it was gonna be on market soon, it is now on market as of last week. Basically, they wanted to kind of refurbish, there's apartments upstairs, and they wanted to make it as nice of a, place as possible. I think it's on the market for 350,000 or something like that.
Cha-ching.
And they have interest already.
Yes, they do.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and we're first. And
Well,
that's
see,
we're
I thought
first
that was a
position.
bad deal. I didn't vote for that one. Little did I know.
Yeah, well, it's not working out the way we had intended.
Tabitha, I've got a question for you.
It was an investment.
When
We
you
didn't know
do
it.
these spreadsheets, I assume they're just
Excel.
Excel sheet. Could you add another column at the beginning and put a number in front of the name?
Yeah.
Like 1 through 10.
Oh, yeah, that would be
Yeah,
that's a
easy.
good
That way
idea.
You could just say number 4.
Yeah, good idea.
There
Right,
you go.
that will help with our code talking.
Yeah,
I think-
exactly.
Now we can be
I
novel.
think the governor was client number 9.
The hands of
Film
number
is trivia, nobody really wants to know.
A couple governors ago. Yeah.
The sharks are out today.
Yeah.
I was feeling good when I left Hancock.
Okay, Glenn, you
We
wanna-
appreciate the humor and sarcasm.
Want to run through the LDC?
Yeah, so the first one on the list I talked about last month, they always pay ahead, they missed a payment. The amount that they technically owe from that missed payment, they're gonna be caught up in the next couple months, we agreed, that's fine. The next one on the list is technically due for this month, but again, that's not entirely uncommon. And then Evan, you got the last one.
Yeah, so that was the one that Glenn and I were gonna work on and come back to you guys.
Yeah.
So we want to put him back on monthly payments and just lower them to where he can comfortably make those payments and have monthly.
Yeah,
payments
they're
going back
completely
in.
out of business,
Yeah.
they're
out of
not
business.
going back into business because of his wife's illness.
Yeah.
He's got work on the
Yeah,
side.
Yeah, odd jobs, he said.
Yeah,
So we offered 750 monthly payment, and he said he could probably do that. He's gonna chew on it over the weekend. And Glenn, both of, it's more important that he can actually make this monthly
Correct,
payment instead of
correct.
stretching him too thin and then being in this boat again.
Yeah.
So. if
so
he
I'd
comes
rather
back
go a
lower-
little lower if it means he can pay every month
Correct.
rather than once every couple months.
So even if it's $600, we'd rather have the constant payment than a higher payment that isn't made as often.
Right,
Because effectively, we're gonna be stealing his social security or his wife's disability to make that payment. So let's make sure that it's something they can pay. What did you talk about in terms of maybe it's a 5-year payment, but a longer balloon? What do we have for collateral there? We have a house.
truck trailers,
Are they going to be sold?
they have been sold.
Oh,
Interesting,
How did they do that?
right?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we have filed liens on them
Yeah,
And they're still on there.
and they're still valid and on there.
That's odd.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's an ignorant buyer and a real aggressive seller and must have been a cash transaction because there couldn't have been a lender involved.
Yeah.
But how about the title company? Why wouldn't the title company make sure that the lien was satisfied,
Right.
right?
I don't know. I'm not sure how it happened. We have to dig into it more.
Do you think the title has transferred or is this?
I don't see
just
how
a
it could.
Contract.
I mean,
So maybe we should, don't we have an assignment in our security agreement? that if he's getting those payments from the sale of that, we should get those?
We can follow up with that, yeah.
'Cause
My,
that's
my,
crazy.
what I suspect happened is it was a cash transaction when they needed money for his wife's treatments and it just happened and how they can be registered, I don't understand. We've got to look into that.
Because we don't want to be a total jerk to the new guy, but the new guy needs to know that you don't really own these. These are collateral for somebody else.
Right.
That's probably why he's willing to be so cooperative with you. Because he knows he's in a tight spot with the guy he sold that stuff to.
Yeah, so we'll try to continue to look into that issue.
Yeah. We do have some leverage.
You think?
I do.
How about the laws of the state of New York?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a lien on the property.
No, well, on the
On the
trucks and trailers.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, he would have to get clear title to that, right? When he sold it.
No.
It's just trailers. It's just trailers.
Just trailers, but still, it's a titled vehicle.
Wow, okay. All right.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, mostly good news, and I'll add to it, just, that last one that all is usually a few months behind, you'll see there's nothing there for this meeting, just to add to the good news.
All right,
And
so let's go to line 9. That has a $28,800 balance. It's located south of Route 10. It says made 4 in September.
that's it.
They've still got the property for sale and what'd you say? It's not under contract.
Oh, last time, the last time I was here, yeah, they had 2 different people interested. One was offering, cash, buy it out, buy us out, and then one was asking if they could assume the mortgage, which I said is possible, but they'd have to apply to us just like you applied to us.
Correct.
I didn't hear back actually
Yep.
after that.
Okay. And then where did Mike's favorite customer go? I guess that was way back on. Where is that?
What town?
Hancock.
He sold that property.
Did we get paid off on that?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, that's fantastic.
yes.
There was another one that we didn't know how should have voted. So the message is take real estate as collateral.
They're falling in the right direction. Okay.
We're almost into cash is trash mode.
Right, right.
And is anything else under the T&L report? And the invoices for payment. I'm going to add one that's not on the list. I have a bill here for $580 for Fisk Landscaping, and Fisk Construction, to do some cleanup work at the new Walton Clubhouse that we have. And to put up some warning tape and caution tape and so forth around those concrete foundations that are scattered around the property, so people don't fall in them. So that's, the work's all done. I've been down and checked it, and I've got an invoice for $580. So we'll add that to the list. Okay,
is that gonna be paid in September or October?
October.
So these are September invoices, so you won't need
We
that.
don't need to add this.
Oh, okay. My bad. All right, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report,
I move.
pay the invoices? Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Glenn, I guess now with the pipeline and so forth, do you want to go into executive session or just do it?
I think we just do it.
Let's go.
Okay, so where we are with the Sewer Works Corporation, we have a petition all prepared for the to present to the town of Delhi, petitioning them to allow us to form the Sewer Works Corporation to own, operate, and maintain the pump station and pipeline that services the two industries. We were on the agenda in October. At the last minute, we were asked to delay submitting the petition to the town for some legal concerns the companies had with the petition and how the Sewer Works Corporation would be operated. Despite the fact that that information was provided to them in July, and that it took them until the beginning of September to provide a 260 word response, 260, so it's
Words, not pages.
260 word response. It took them over 2 months to provide a 260 word response. They felt that we were not attending to their concerns outlined in those 260 words to a sufficient manner for us to move forward. They were going to have their legal counsel present at the town board meeting to say, we do not support the formation of the Sewer Works Corporation. So that led to a lot of conversations and everything of that nature. We are now on the agenda for the town board's November 9th meeting, where we will present the petition. We are supposed to have a meeting earlier this week. Okay, so subsequent to us agreeing to delay the petition to the town board, our attorney sent out revised Sewer Works Corporation agreement to the industries for their comment, with a deadline to supply comments, and a meeting that was scheduled on the 20th, I believe, or this week. We were going to have a big conference call to go over all the comments they had submitted in the month's worth of time between when they were supplied with these revised documents and so they had 30 days to respond, because they had asked for the delay, so there was time for us to negotiate with them over the terms and conditions. So it was like the day after we agreed to delay, Kevin provided them this new information. 30 days later, we were going to have this conference call, which they ended up asking to be postponed until November 1st. Because they still weren't ready to meet to go over their 260 words worth of concerns. So now we're scheduled to meet by conference call on November 1st. We will be on the agenda for the town board for November 9th, 8th. Yes, I got my dates mixed up because the 10th, I've got another meeting I'm going to in Stamford. Which that is a meet. Oh yeah, that's later on. And so at this point in time, they're just stalling, obviously, and have no intentions of talking or negotiating. So what I would like to do, I haven't done it yet. I've talked to Jim about it. Our attorney provided draft language for me to reply. I'd like to provide a concise response to their continued delays that basically says, one way or the other, the IDA is presenting the petition in November. And if it's, contested or denied, the IDA will seek legal counsel in establishing a process to demise the pipeline and pump station and get out of the business. Because other than that, nothing will happen, because back in September, when they had requested this extension, I provided a response that was basically saying, well, then, maybe we should just quit. And that did prompt a conference call from the one entity that is being the biggest thorn in the side. And I spoke with them, this was without lawyers, for about an hour and a half. And we basically just had to agree to disagree. They want to make sure the IDA remains in the exact same position with all risk and liability and cost, and they're willing to absorb none. And I told them that's just
Absolutely
not the
not.
way I told them that's not the way it is. This one gentleman who's a higher up I've been dealing with for probably 2 years now. I'm like, Eric, in our first conversation, I told you we are getting out of this. And so it's no surprise. And he's like, I understand it, but this is our position. So.
So we have the ability to isolate the contributors to the pipeline?
No. We don't have shut-off valves. What we do have is the ability to turn off the pumps.
So one bad apple affects all apples.
Yes.
But we could install those.
We could, that's right. There's gotta be junctions where that comes in there. We could install a shut-off valve. for
I've
one of them.
been, in the back of my mind, I've been seeking a reason to have to shut down the pumps for a couple days.
That might be it.
And that might be it.
Or you just get somebody with a double end hoe out there digging and you point out the window that guy's installing your shut off valve that affects you.
Right.
You only.
Mhm.
I think we should be contracting with whomever does our pipe work to install a shut-off valve.
Yeah.
So that we're in a position to keep one going and shut off the one that's
They do come in through different pipes. That might be
Right.
possible.
right.
I mean, if you just shut off the pumps and that affects the guy that's not the problem,
Right.
you could be sued. I mean, I don't know what it costs if you shut them down for a couple of days,
Well-
but that's not too cool.
But your point is good there. We need to take that the next step. We
Yeah,
can't
but
just
we
put
could
in
ins-
one valve.
Yeah, we
We
could
need to
insure
put in a valve in each of the
each
pipes.
guy's,
Right,
and then you can pick who the problem is.
because we
or-
also want to pit
ascertain
one
the
against the other too.
Yeah. I would be afraid of just closing it down and then waiting to see what they do.
Right, but
I would tell them what we just did.
We
That
have
valve
no-
is there
We
now.
have no legal obligation to provide them with anything.
No, but they probably have business interruption insurance. They have, there's other things that go on if you shut that down for 2 days.
but you could have an announcement that comes out today that says on this date, we're going to have a scheduled maintenance to install shut-off valves in each of these pipes.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be down for 2 days. Plan accordingly as we install these shut-off valves. And that's the shot against over the bow that hopefully they all go,
Oh,
we don't really like that.
mm,
And that's on us as a cost, but it's how we play.
Mhm.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
no,
what do you
I
what do you
think
it
that's-
will
I
cost
think
to
that's good.
Put in 2 valves.
Less than $50,000.
that's gonna be pretty fine.
Okay, well, I guess I asked a dumb question. So it's on me.
It's significant. It'll be at a significant expense.
You gotta buy a valve, you gotta dig it up, you gotta put them in place, you gotta create a sleeve so that you can go down there and do that.
And you could always throw that cost into something else that goes on later on.
Right.
You'd say, well, we're gonna recover that now.
Mhm.
Right,
Where they put the shut off valve? How do we shut it off?
I don't know that I'd have to look into that.
right. And then we gotta build a cage around it that's locked so that we can be the only ones that shut it off and it's not
Mhm.
Give the
got
old
any
key,
tamper
Glenn,
going on with it.
give Glenn the key.
Give Glenn the key, right?
Evan.
Key.
I like the
What do you
idea of
think, Jim?
notifying them. That way they
I'm
might
Jane.
resolve that before
I,
we have that
I think that's a great idea.
expense.
I never thought of that. And I think that I'm just trying to envision that pump station. I'm almost thinking that it could be done just by opening up the clamshell.
I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we would have, because the pipes come in and it's around it, so we'd have to install
Yep.
a valve, a piece of pipe and a valve. Other than that, you know.
Just ask your engineering
Yeah.
guys,
Mhm.
then see where it goes.
Yeah.
it's worth a conversation with the whole engineer,
Mhm.
definitely.
Because in my opinion, you've put up with this for too long. And they've monkeyed around with it for too long.
And let that conversation with Delaware Engineering get out and about.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I was thinking I was gonna include that because I haven't, so I guess one thing I was looking for was approval to send an email telling them that if it doesn't get approved, we will do that. And in the same email, I will say, in addition to that, we are examining, the feasibility and cost of installing shutoff valves for each of the inputs to the wet well.
That will be billed back to both industries.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you say that in Dutch?
Oh, he got.
I've heard them swear in English, so I bet they know that.
That's a shame. Well, you know what? That's the game. That's just the game.
It is just a game. It's
just a
nothing
game.
personal.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just a game.
It's not
As
the
long
Dutch
as
that are
they
the
can-
problem.
As long as they can delay is in their best
Sure,
interest,
Because costs avoided is cost saved.
Right. Look, and I look back, we did the same thing in the Amphenol project. We called that to a halt for like 3 weeks. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we were in the middle of incurring all these expenses. Amphenol wasn't willing to sign the project agreement.
Mm.
And we stopped all work. We had everybody stop. And, then we were able to work it out.
Mhm.
And then everything resumed and everybody forgot that we had that brief shutdown.
Right.
So, yeah, it's just part of the process.
You got the goal, make the rule.
Okay. Yep. All right, I will make sure I do that today.
That can be a fun Friday project.
Yes, okay.
Get yourself a pair of muck boots.
Yeah.
Probably do the cabinet with that.
Kevin approved, I'll let him know. Kevin's in favor of it. He's frustrated with dealing with their attorneys. So nothing new on the consent order. That's just pending everything because, we're still holding the position that we can't agree to sign the consent order until we know what we're agreeing to, which is the final engineering report, which the industries have completed, but they refuse to release. So.
And Kevin has been keeping the DEC in the loop on all of this correspondence.
Okay,
And so they're fully aware that we're trying to make this happen. And one of the companies is dragging their feet.
can DEC help us with any arm twisting or leverage or pressure?
Well, there's some concern that that's similar to Pandora's box.
Oh, right, okay,
Once you open it, how do you close it?
all right.
I think the
retract that
valve's gonna
statement.
do it,
Yes,
I've raised that
but you
issue
never know.
Mhm.
Kevin's concerned.
Right,
and
Yes.
that was the legal answer that I got.
right, okay.
And Glenn, and I might be completely wrong here, but we're gonna talk about the EAA grant, right? So when you apply for that, you have to apply as some kind of corporation, EIN and everything. We might have to wait until we apply as a sewer works corporation for that grant.
yeah, so what Evan's talking about is the next one, and is funding. We applied for a state grant to ESD for $430,000. We're, not assured, but most likely going to get that. We've identified a grant through EDA, through their normal process, not one of the CARES Act programs. For funding, Evan's been talking to our rep. likes the project, waiting for our application. He just pulled down all the material we need for that grant. We're going to start, work on that next week. As he mentioned, we will have to figure out, and that's another good point.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure out in what name we are applying, but also it also requires that those that it's for the for public infrastructure to support businesses. So those businesses are going to have to, in order for us to apply for this funding, which could be 80% of project costs, and the state's providing 20. Do the math. In order for us to apply, they're going to have to commit to being served by the infrastructure and creating jobs. And so we are going to be at a standstill with that funding, which is be something else I'll include.
Can we apply through the IDA or the LDC? And the basis it's going to be passed through.
Yes, the IDA can apply, but then if we're doing the project through the Sewer Works Corporation, that might be something we need to talk to Ed about.
Do you think the job growth is a challenge for them or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's not a stumbling block.
Nope,
But
and it doesn't have to be significant, it doesn't have to be, X number of
10%,
job. I think it, at the end of the day, there is a requirement, but I think it's like 50, it's one job per like 150 or 250,000 of,
Okay.
so it's very high.
That's pretty
So
liberal.
it's, yeah. I mean, they'd have to commit to like 5 new jobs, 10 new jobs over 5 years.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, that's the direction they're going regardless.
One per year is pretty simple.
Yes.
Okay.
you wouldn't delay the paperwork until you get the approval from the town.
Right.
Right.
You'd get that ready to go, and if they say aye, you can.
Hit send.
Well, you put the dates in and you
Yeah.
do what you gotta do.
Well,
If you wait
I
till
mean,
they,
to be perfectly honest, if we start on this on Monday, I don't know that we would be ready to submit the date,
no, I get you. but
It'll take several weeks.
My point was just not wait till they say aye in January before you start filling out the form.
Oh, yeah, no. We'll have everything ready to go. Yeah,
But them holding up the sewer works formation is also holding up this grant.
right.
Is something to,
Mhm,
so if the shut off valve is the stick, this is the carrot.
right.
Nice analogy.
I get that from you.
That's why he liked it.
Stroke.
Okay. Well, more to come on this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Winkler Road?
Oh, yes. So, Winkler Road,
Or you want
that should be executive session.
The
Same thing with
So sales,
Tiberio.
possible sale of the property. We have the financing of a startup business, another involving more property purchase. So can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Make a
For the
motion.
purpose of discussing confidential.
And
information.
contractual arrangements.
Second.
Or new business? Any other old or new business for the IDA?
Yes, so do you remember the Andel greenhouse? The demonstration carbon neutral greenhouse in Andy's behind of our Andy's property. Yeah. Applied for it through the CFA, pretty much we were able to structure it so if everybody, all the grant people say yes, we can do a $450,000 project at no cost to Delaware County IDA with a donor.
I wondered why nothing's been built out back there. I
Yeah,
drove by
So it's
it,
gonna be up like the second,
up the level,
maybe third level.
and there was nothing there when I drove by the other day.
There's a private owner involved for 100.
So that's our project, you know, we own the land, applying to the grants as the IDA's project, so we can apply to, you know, a lot of people. And good news is some grants have been approved. O'Connor and Chobani, altogether $120,000 so far. We're still waiting on ESD for probably a little more than, just about 100,000. NYSERDA is gonna be the tough one. They're just tough, you know. So those, and we're waiting until December. Like, that's the good news, but the honest, frank update.
Bad news is,
So it started out, we have an architect, and it started out, the schematic was a greenhouse with nothing in it, rolling beds, everything like that. Okay. And I, from the get-go, remember our first meetings, you know, we were the grant writers, you know, the landlord and the grant writer. Jim was getting them all the surveys and topos that they needed, and I'm writing the grants for them. Now it's our project, and I told, you know, the architect and the operator, who's the same operator of, you know, the property, to just, you know, do it, you know, she knows what she needs for the business and he knows what works with, I assume they knew the budget was $450,000. It's kind of gone up a lot since I let them, you know, I should have been in the meetings, you know, it's partly my fault. I should have been there. So I have to pump the brakes on them, take more of a project manager role in that. So it's going a little slow, and there's a few red flags, unfortunately, which is really unfortunate because I get really excited when the grants are approved. Tabitha can tell you, I'm fist pumping in the middle of the office with that in the back of my head, unfortunately. So I am going to have a conversation. I have had a conversation. The operator says, this is the ideal. This is how you function in a greenhouse. There's coolers, there's bathrooms. There's some stuff in there that I was just surprised to see when I got the schematic a couple weeks ago, and the new budget. And so I told her that we're gonna have a conversation, and the conversation is gonna probably include, and I talked to Glenn about this, and he agrees that anything over what I'm able to secure in grants, $450,000 should come out of the operator's pocket, which I don't think we really want, but,
I agree, unless we have a different operator.
right.
The
but
current
that's-
operator has a more than full plate.
I
Right.
think
That's-
there's a lot of this, that deck and all of that crazy stuff that they were building.
The deck's probably $20,000, $25,000. I spoke to one of our borrowers in Hancock, and he looked at it and said, $25,000 for now.
Okay,
So that's not it. It's increased in size because of all the new stuff that they want to put in there, from 3,000 to 4,200 square feet, so 30% pretty much. So as exciting of a project as it is, it's a demonstration project to show that, you know, you can use, it's a carbon neutral, so basically no utilities, you know, in practice, in theory, I should say. 10% of land operates 12 months out of the year. And we're gonna show Delaware County regional entrepreneurs, you know, look at this could be a real profitable alternative when you're switching from dairy, kind of like, you know, for
they
example.
can just cut back. And let them do the design work and-
how many jobs?
Value engineer it,
Uh,
value
let's
engineer it
separate
back to the budget it's supposed to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
Evan, what'd you say? How many jobs?
7 or 8,
Full time.
mostly, yeah.
yeah, I want a new Ferrari too.
One of the challenges is the product you're growing has such a low margin.
Well, it can be a number of products in there. And that's kind of one of the deliverables of this plan is a crop plan. Deliverables of the project is a crop plan that is profitable.
Unless it's shiitake mushrooms or something that's got a higher margin, but lettuce and beet greens aren't gonna do it.
I think it was starts, right, in the early spring.
Or yeah, there's a
that,
few
like,
things,
for
there's
people to
starters.
sell for people to use in their garden, and
Yep.
then I forget,
And
it
there
was
are
seasonally
party
throughout the year,
queens.
but the margins aren't,
It's a volume game.
right?
How many of them can you sell at $3
I
a
think
piece?
the architect was pitching canvas, I think, initially as a higher margin problem, you know.
It's like
Crop,
expecting
but-
$1 million out of an ice cream stand that's along the side of the road. You can't do that at $4 an ice cream. Math isn't there.
So I wanted to update all of you on that, because I know there's other conversations, same property, and it is our project now, you know, 'cause-
All right, we'll get it under control for us.
yeah, that's the plan.
And if it's no for a little while, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Or a different operator or.
That's why they
any of
put
that
pause
stuff.
buttons.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, and while we're on the, Glenn wanted me to update you on the topic of grants, another grant we submitted, not IDA, it's K tooling, I just submitted it for them, it's pretty good, it's almost $1 million project, which is mostly a piece of equipment and what goes with it, and applied to ESD for $200,000. Jobs are there. I talked to ESD. They said pretty much the most straightforward project that they have. So
That's the
hopefully good news
company
there.
that moved from Hancock to 12 Winkler Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, K tools or what's the?
Yeah.
Very,
Very cute.
We ever think about selling that building to them at some point too, hadn't we?
I think they're leased.
It was a lease to own or something, wasn't
Oh,
it?
it is.
It was a deal, I think.
He really wants to expand physically. You know,
God
this,
bless him.
this-
Never should have let that guy out of Hancock, but we were kind of stunting his growth. Big time.
Yes, yep. Because he can go onto a lot at 14 Winkler.
I'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So in the topic of meat processing, more good news for Delaware County in Stamford. Eklund's was sold, if you haven't heard, to a company IQRA, specific, you know, if they're buying the animal, they're selling it halal for the New Jersey, New York City market. But they're also selling back, you know, just processing for farmers as well, for them to market themselves. But they have a market for themselves to sell. And Jim and I were able to go over there, meet the owners, and we're pretty happy with it. The new owners are very ambitious. Eklund's has the space. I was very surprised that nobody wanted it. When I went in there, that was the first time I was ever in there, but it has space for expansion. And now it has the owners who are willing to expand. And the reason it even came to us is because they went to Marion Corrali, CCE, to say, you know, we have capacity in the last quarter. You know, in this following quarter, can you tell farmers and, you know, people with livestock that we're looking, we have spaces open. So they're definitely willing to expand, even as they are now, but even more so, for example, one of the people from CCE was there who handles livestock, and he said, you know, he's pretty well versed in the industry, and he said, you know, one of the most recent surveys was the biggest thing holding back expansion for meat processing was cooler space. Well, Eklund's had almost a full cooler that they've been just using for storage. There's no compressor in it. You know, when they first built it, they were planning that for expansion, and everyone, you know, Eklund's is very busy, so they just never went into it. All they have to do is put a compressor in there, clear that space, and they have cooler space.
Because you need to hang it for 10 to 14 days, and that's just a square footage calculation of how many carcasses you can put in there.
Yeah.
That's where your throughput bottleneck is.
Right.
That's a third processor.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's the only one right now.
Right now,
We're
it's
talking
the only
to
one.
2 others, right?
But it is expanding. And he's looking for work. He's looking for people to help train the work. He's looking for anybody who can help get the word out that he has space open. He's firing on pretty much every cylinder there.
And one of the discussion items that came up in the meeting was that they want to, in cooperation with Cornell Cooperative Extension, they want to have they want to put on a seminar for farmers to encourage farmers to change their operations so that they have cattle, presumably, or animals, whatever animals are ready to go all year round, instead of just everybody having their stuff ready in the fall. And so what I suggested was that the IDA sponsor this seminar for cooperative extension and bring Nicole Day and to talk about, to do a presentation to farmers on the reason and the value of making changes in their breeding schedules. And because they have animals typically 28, beef animals typically 28 months, I think, as a max.
Yeah, that's a
So-
little long. It should be 22 to 24.
It
if you're
could be, okay,
moving them
it's,
through.
I'm not,
What's the value on there? It's like the small animals may be worth $500 to $800, and what's it 22 months later?
That should dress at about 600 to 650 pounds. And then it's about $3.25
So you're
a
looking
pound right
1,500,
now.
$1,800.
Yeah,
so I
you're
think
close to
that's
$2
cool.
grand per animal
That
to the
means,
farmer.
yeah,
Then the butcher should be making 40 to 50 cents per pound for the cut wrap
I'm
freeze.
losing 50 cents a gallon on milk.
Yes,
So I'd
that's
like to
right.
work
And these
with-
hills are perfect for.
Yeah, they stand around and eat.
I'd like to work with cooperative extension and put together a seminar.
That's very
Good.
cool.
It'll cost us some coffee and some.
Good work, Evan.
Okay, anything else? All right, then I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
And open the LDC for the draft minutes from September.
motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Second,
Approval of motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
We need approval for Evan to do closing with the IRP.
Yeah, so, we applied for to, capitalize a revolving loan fund in March, got denied in that quarter. We got approved in this last quarter, which is good. $750,000 loan from USDA IRP. And we contribute.
Awesome. Congratulations, Evan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was excited. A lot of good news coming in. That was good.
Excellent. Just because I like the smile you just gave me, I approve right there.
We contribute $200,000, so it's $950,000 revolving loan fund, IRP number 5. Well, I maybe have to. Yeah, so. Oh, do we, I don't know if we have to sign this with George.
We can sign it. So there's an official resolution. It basically states that, you know, we agree you're authorizing us, me, to sign on behalf of the LDC board to take this loan with USDA. We borrow the money at 1%. You know, we pay it back 3 years interest only. The next 27 years, it's on a regular payment schedule like our other ones. We agree to commit $200,000 to the fund. You know, it's come up in the past. What's our, what happens if we are unable to pay USDA? Well, technically what happens is we would lose our 200,000 because they would retain rights to the IRP fund. Any remaining funds, whether it was theirs or the 200,000 we committed, they would be able to take. But we're on IRP 4 now, and we've never missed a payment or had an issue. So we're very comfortable with it. We've always been able to, even with the low rates that we charge, we've always been able to manage this program and, you know, not have any issues with it. So there's a formal resolution.
Was that as you wrote it?
What's that?
It was online as you wrote it in the drive? Wasn't that there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was
The
submitted.
resolution is in the drive.
Yep.
I don't know if we want, it says it has a space for the secretary, it's George.
Yeah, he'll have to sign, but
I
yeah.
guess we just have to pass it.
The motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
All
If
favor?
Mike made the motion,
Aye.
I'm behind that.
Now, like everything with the federal government, there's a,
years, I ain't gonna be here.
yeah. Like everything with the federal government, there's just a little holdup with the paperwork. We're hoping to keep pushing forward. And that's why we wanted to bring the resolution this month. We may not close before the next meeting, but just in case we can, we wanted to be ready.
Sounds good.
Glenn, hidden in, you want to?
Yeah, so hidden in, I think included on the iDrive was the write-up I provided for the town of Stamford. So basically, we've talked about this. We're gonna apply for a grant to help support the hidden in project. It hasn't been decided yet, but the town of Stamford will ask the LDC to be a subrecipient like we typically are for these types of grants. So I just wanted to make sure the LDC approved of that, was okay with it. And if you had any questions regarding process or anything.
I approve.
Okay,
Second.
so do we need a motion on that?
Yeah,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
it can't help to have, it can't hurt to have it in the minutes.
Glenn, your training initiative.
Okay, so Train to Work initiative, I think that was also in the iDrive. That is a proposal that Ann Akins from OET and I made to the county for part of their American Rescue Funds. We've requested $350,000. The committee has I don't know if they've technically approved it, but they've all said they like it. And and I don't know when the when is, when they move to have a formal vote on the board floor regarding, some package of American Rescue Funds, this will be included in the package. The way I put it there, and maybe it wasn't specifically clear, is I would like to run this program through the local development corporation. So the local development corporation would receive the funds and then expend the funds. The funds would be expended essentially $300,000 under OJT contracts for local Delaware County businesses. What we're trying to do with this program is completely stripped down, but still with all the, I's dotted and T's crossed, get rid of all the bureaucratic stuff from, the state and federal OJT program, which knocks a lot of people out because it's just too much of a headache to get through. We're not going to prohibit larger businesses from applying, but we're really targeting, the ones who are 100 and less, who, could most benefit from this support in trying to find new employees because, we public, I assume I'll say it anyways, I don't care, it's the way I think. There's a proportion of the population who just doesn't want to go back to work in any shape or form, which is what it's going to mean is, yes, it's harder for businesses to find employees. And what that really means is they're going to have to take a risk on some of these people. They're going to have to take people who may not be fully qualified or fully trained for the position. And if by having this on-the-job training program available to help offset the cost of wages during that training period, that makes it easier for a business to give somebody a try. And what I'm specifically thinking is, someone who is, just out of like high school or trade school or something, and, doesn't have that track record to show, and they're like, maybe we want to, maybe we don't. But this helps to give that person a boost up. And the way we're would be moving forward is both the business and the entity would have to sign a contract. Now, unfortunately, the contract with the person is basically, I agree to be a good employee, kind of thing, and actually show up to work. And but unfortunately, you need contracts like that these days. But so I'm trying to go quick here because I know the hour is getting late. So that's the idea for it. 300,000 for the OJT contracts, that's the estimate. The other $50,000 would be for some administrative expenses and then costs associated with hiring some contractual reps to do the actual process of writing the contracts and monitoring the contracts and the outcomes from them. Essentially, we'd be drawing a line between regular staff time and then non-staff time. Regular staff time would be finding the people, finding the businesses. Once we get a match and we're actually going to do a training initiative, then it would switch to being contractual work.
It was like on a reimbursement basis. Isn't that what you had in this?
Yes, it'll be a reimbursement basis. So let's say you hire a person for a training thing, and after the first month, you show that you've paid them, $1,500 in wages, as long as the training program was implemented and they're still on board and everything like that, then we reimburse you for $750. And
Is
it'll
this like from
continue
the
like
$8
that.
million or something the county's
Yes,
getting?
yeah, this is part of the 8 million.
You think you got enough? 300's enough?
I think we got enough that we can handle in 1 year. If we use this money more quickly, there's the potential we could go back for more. But I thought this is going to be a push, and I want to make sure we do it right. If we're successful, I can always ask for more.
When do you hope to have this started?
January. Ideally.
You want to do something now? You want us to do anything?
Basically, I guess probably having a resolution that you approve me running this program through the LDC.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Geez, how many motions did you approve today?
I don't know, I'm a little tired.
He's on a roll.
More than he has in the last 2 years.
I know. I'm like, wow, we
Okay, under
must be
got
doing
decaf.
something right.
Glenn, I think that's a great program.
Yeah, I think that's a great
I'm really
program.
Very much in favor of
It's
that.
just gonna be the amount of bodies you can find.
Under old
Yes.
business, the only thing that I wanted to mention is that there's been a lot of talk about this streamside acquisition program that DEC is trying to force down our throats. I've been working with Ray Pucci, and we've put together a meeting that's going to take place on November 4th. I'm going to have Shelley Johnson and Nick Barone do the presentation. And we have all three assemblymen coming. The two of the three senators for Delaware County will be here. We're also going to have Kevin Young's coming down. Lisa Terry from the supervisor from Tom Gilboa, because she's had experience with the streamside acquisition program in Schoharie County, and she's not happy about it. So she's going to come down and add her 2 cents. And Glenn will be there, and that's about it. So I just wanted everybody to know that that's going on.
Thank you for doing
And I think it's important to get the elected officials, state elected officials,
That's
in
quite
one
a group.
room and work them
that.
over.
It's important.
So we're on it. That's all I had on old or new business. Anybody else? Anybody hungry? It's adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Again.
You go, Mike.